Welcome to Escape Comfort Outdoors podcast, episode number 3. John's rocking his new t-shirt. Gotta love that. Looking good.
It's sweet, dude. It's comfortable. I like it. Wore it out for a hike
Absolutely.
today and figured I'd rock it a little bit longer before I took a shower.
Love it. Perfect. Well, let's go ahead and get rolling. So the first thing I wanted to make sure that we talked about, John, is 2 weeks ago now, you guys did your cleanup event out there in the great state of Washington. Tell us about it.
Dude, it was great, man. Just to kind of recap, we had around 12 people throughout the day. Most people stayed for the most of the day. We had a few people that came in and left, and it was awesome. My wife helped a bunch and did all the running back and forth to grab like tarps and stuff like that to make sure we could get everything to the dump properly. And it was awesome. We ended up clearing 2,000 plus pounds of trash and tires and all that kind of stuff out of the area, and made it a little bit more beautiful for the next people that travel through the area. It was awesome. It was cool kind of getting everybody together, and got help from all my different slots of people in my city, my some work people, some rugby people, family, all that stuff. It was awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome to make that big of an impact. That being said, a little bit sad that you're able to make that much of an impact. And I understand there's still plenty left out there yet.
Oh my goodness, we could probably do 4 of what we did. 4 weekends of that. I mean, there's stuff out there that obviously we couldn't retrieve, like um, abandoned cars and campers and stuff, like old campers, stuff like that. But for the most part, we pretty much gathered up everything we could find and the amount of time that we had. And yeah, success, I would say. We had a lot of the people that live out in the area over there stopping and thanking us, and asking what we're doing and who we're with and all that. It was cool to be able to say the name of the company and talk about us doing something good for the area.
Yeah, I love it. And we should definitely make sure we shout out Responsible Stewardship for their support.
Absolutely, man. They did such an awesome job sending us gloves for everybody. I mean, as many garbage bags as you could ever want, big ones too, so that we're not using 50,000 bags. We're able to, use as few bags as possible. Yeah, man, it was great. Got stickers, stuck them all over all the bags and stuff, so everybody know who provided that. And just very, very thankful to them, to Benny, to all of them. They're a fantastic company that does a lot of amazing things with not a lot of recognition, per se, in the grander scheme of things, and all volunteer based too, which is so huge. That it's not such a big burden. All these people are doing this with the kindness of their heart and their love for nature, and they coming out and taking the time to make it a better place. And it was awesome that they were able to support the event.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it. Yeah, and they're actually going to be supporting an event here tomorrow for Earth Day. We're going to be doing a cleanup event out here. We're not going to come anywhere near 2,000 pounds of trash, I hope.
But that's a good thing. That's a good thing because it's probably not quite as beat up of an area. It's an area that hopefully hasn't been quite tarnished like the area that we went to. But again, it's any impact is good impact. You know what I mean? As long as it's picking up 5 pounds of trash or 5,000 pounds of trash, if that's what you got there, that's what you got there, and you can make that experience better for the next person by doing that small amount of work.
100%. Yeah. So we'll be at Gorge Metro Park here in the greater Akron, Ohio area, doing some cleanup there. So that'll be a very cool event. Get some folks out. And
I'll try to remind me, and I'll try to reach out to the rugby team in the area and see if any of those guys want to make it out, or the gals team too, and see if they want to make it out to help. That'd be awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, and so that'll be good to get some cleanup out there and clean up that park. That's one of the parks in the area that it's kind of close to the highway, so some junk and winds up meandering its way into the park over there. By and large, we have relatively clean parks, but when you get close to the highway, sometimes junk
all the
winds up there.
passerbys. Yeah, all the passerbys.
Yeah,
Bummer.
so But again, Responsible Stewardship helped us out there and are helping support that event. Send out some gloves, bags, stickers to help support that effort. So thank you to them, and looking forward to continuing to do what we can to provide cleaner parks and cleaner outdoor spaces for everyone to enjoy.
Yeah, and also a special shout out to Fit Aid. Fit Aid was kind of the driving factor of that cleanup as well. I jokingly tagged them in a post on online on Instagram, and they responded and said, "Do the cleanup, and we got you. We'll send you some goods." And they came through and sent us 60 of different other a bunch of different other products. I was sure to make sure we got that out to the people who are interested in this sort of thing that helped out, and it was pretty cool that a big company like that was able to give us a little love. It was cool.
Yeah, awesome. You talk us through. So you mentioned it just now, but take us through the story of how Fit Aid got involved. Tell us a little bit more about that story because it's a cool story.
Yeah, so my dogs and I, we go out to this area out by where I live. It's pretty close, probably 8 minutes of driving. We go out there and we get to hike around these little trails, mountain bike trails and stuff that not a lot of other people go to. And I was walking through this little, windy little area, and I come across these two mini fridges and a bunch of car parts and all this stuff. And I saw one of the mini fridges had the Fit Aid logo across the side, and I looked at it, and I took a video of kind of all that little trash in the area, and um, tagged them in the video and just said, hey, like Fit Aid, if you're down to make a little exchange, we'll clean up 500 pounds of trash in the area. And they responded and they said, hey, if you pick up that fridge and if it still works, refurbish it. If it doesn't, dispose of it properly. You got yourself a deal. So I rallied the troops and off we went and exceeded our goal by more than 5 times the amount and picked up like 2,600 plus pounds of trash. Woo woo!
It's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah, it was a cool story, and it was cool to see that interaction of them coming back and engaging.
Yeah,
So very
following
cool.
through, man. It's a company that very well could have missed my tag or missed my message or anything like that, or just not looked because it was just a random person. And power to them. They did a cool thing, and they inspired in a small way a bunch of us to get out there and do something good for the place, for the community.
2,600 pounds is no joke, for sure.
Yeah, man, we did good. I mean, I literally could not have done that without the help of everyone. We had some kids from the area, some like 15, 16-year-old kids who wanted to do some volunteer work for their school. We had a couple friends and clients of mine, some ladies who are in their 50s and 60s. We had my wife. We had some of the rugby guys. I mean, it was fantastic. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a more diverse group of people to come and hang out and help out. It was awesome.
Yeah, and cool to get some young folks out there and kind of uh, implant that thought
Yeah,
process, that
yeah. I
mentality.
mean, we chatted about at the beginning of what we were doing, about why we were doing it, and about how if you only got 20 minutes in you to do this, we're thankful for that 20 minutes. And outside of a couple people, pretty much the whole crew stayed for about 4 or 5 hours. Yeah, and they hung out the whole time. They were messing around. They were throwing dirt at each other and picking up garbage. They got like 4 or 5 giant bags of garbage picked up, and it was great. It was cool to see. They helped carry. I mean, we got 64 tires cleaned up from the area, and then I mean, those kids put in work. They was sweating by the end of it, and so it was really cool to see. When everybody signed up, I just know people's names, and all that. So when they showed up, I was like, rock and roll. That's awesome. That you guys are going out of your way to do something good for your community. I don't know a lot of kids that are doing that these days.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, it's awesome. So switching gears, want to talk about other events that have been going on recently. So you just got back from a tournament that was last weekend, right? Up in the blustery Niagara Falls region.
Oh my goodness, dude, it was freezing. It was probably the worst. I've played in snow, I've played in 0 degrees, I've done all that, but it was probably the worst conditions of any tournament I've ever played in. And nothing really against the team itself, you can't control the weather. But it was I mean, we had to sit in our cars between games to stay warm. There were 6 inches of standing water on the field at all times and 20 degrees with 40-degree wind or 40-mile-per-hour winds. It was just freezing. Like we're wrapping up in like tarps and like rain flies of tents to just keep the wind off us. It was Woo! It was a gnarly one, but cool to see Niagara Falls. It was, one of those things that you obviously see about all over the place, and being thousands of miles away from it, it was cool to be able to go and do that and
Did
experience
you guys?
that and all that.
Yeah. Did you guys get to make it over to the Canadian side and look at it from that side, or
So,
did you stay on the
so
U.S. side?
some of us did. Unfortunately, we have a couple international players who visas don't let them kind of freely travel over borders, and so unfortunately we had to leave a couple guys behind, but just for a moment while we went over and looked, came back,
Sure, for sure.
showed them the pictures, and we're like, it's beautiful, but it's still just a bunch of water. It's not like y'all missed out on anything too wild.
Well, and even
It
being
is
on the
beautiful from that side though.
it is, but being on the U.S. side, you're at least able to be close enough to feel the power off of those falls.
Oh yeah, dude, and I mean even that we could only be there for a minute because we're right there, and you're getting misted with all that water, and it's freezing and it's windy, and we're like, oh my gosh, like, and they're like, yeah, it's like this every day here. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, I thought Seattle was like a sad place. Holy moly.
Well, in the summer when it gets warm, it's a little less dreary sadness, but
Oh, I hope so, because that was gnarly.
yeah. Well, in the winter when it's like really really cold, all that mist will freeze and you'll have ice over everything. It's
Oh,
kind of
I bet that's pretty though.
it is pretty, but it's wild.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, and did you guys go into the national park there? Or is that a
We
national park or a state park? Maybe it's a
I think
state
it's a
park.
state park, but our rugby tournament was in the state park. So we played
Oh,
there. And or the tournament was there, and yeah, it was cool. It was, yeah, miserable weather, but rugby's rugby. We're happy.
love it. Yeah, that's awesome. Um, it, but definitely sounds like a very comfortable experience. You just gotta kind of were able to relax and chill out and
Yeah, it was especially like the obviously the night after and everything like that. We always have a good little run with the boys, and yeah, I get to when I go. I really look forward to these tournaments. I get to see my buddies from all over the country that I only get to see 3 or 4 times a year, and so it's always a good little reunion when everybody runs into each other.
yeah, love it, love it. Then so that was last weekend. This weekend, I actually just got back today from a gravel race up in Michigan. So went up and did a really small gravel race of 5,000 racers. That's
Yeah, it
called
was
Barry Roubaix.
when I was looking at your guys' results sheet and everything like that. I was like, oh my goodness, there's a lot of people in this. Holy moly!
Yeah, yeah, and there's a whole bunch of distances. So the shortest distance is 18. So there's 18 miles, 36 miles, 62 miles, and 100 miles. So our team went up
Are
there.
those 18 miles? Are those like a sprint? Like those people are competing to like for speed, or is it just for those that aren't as experienced and can't go as far?
Um, it tends to be a little bit more of the latter, but at the end of the day, it could be either, right? So you're signing up for a distance. They're still awarding the top finishers. So if you do the 18 miles super fast, then you'll win first place in the 18-mile race. Um,
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if there were like elite people racing that choose the 18 miler so that they can like just send it and go hard for 18 miles.
no, yeah, no. For the most part, the majority of the more quote unquote seasoned or experienced or competitive folks are going to be in the 62 miler. You'll have some that'll do the 100 miler, but at this time of the season, being you're just in April, you're early in the season yet. Things are still thawing out. People tend to take a little bit shorter of a distance than doing the full 100. So the 62 mile tends to be, I believe, the most popular distance. And if I'm not mistaken, this year there are 1,200 registrations for just the 62 miler.
Nice. And you guys got someone on the podium?
Yeah, we got a few people on the podium actually. So
Woo!
yeah, so we wound up with one of our juniors got on the podium for the 36-mile race.
Nice.
Um, so he wound up seventh overall. So regardless of age, regardless of gender, regardless of anything,
Dang, seventh just total.
seventh total. And
Wow.
he's a junior, so he's I don't know 16, 17 years old.
Wow, good for that kid.
Yeah, he's a strong rider. So he did awesome. And then uh, we had someone else that podium in the 36 miler as well. One of our masters athletes. And then we had someone on the 62 mile get second place in his age group as well.
Boom.
Yeah, and we had a few people that finished just out of the top five, so just off the podium
Mhm.
in their age groups as well. So really an awesome turnout for the team. So we're very
Sweet.
pleased. So the cool thing about Barry, and really kind of all of those large format events, is the atmosphere that's at an event like that. Um, if no one's ever been to a large format event where you have thousands of athletes going out and competing at whatever the thing is, right? You definitely need to go. So there's lots of events out there that you can do that. So there's marathons all over the globe, right? Marathons are really cool events that draw huge crowds. And a lot of them will do like a relay. I can tell you that I've done relays with my friends before where you get a group of four folks together, they split up the course and everyone goes and runs their leg of the relay. And as a team, you complete the full marathon course. But that's a lot more achievable when you have
That's cool.
a team of four. Well, it's more than four people on that team. Five, maybe, is what that one was. But regardless, you break it up into more manageable chunks. Everyone has their kind of distance, and you know they do that for the Akron Marathon here in Ohio, and they do a nice job of breaking it up so that way it's not like five equal chunks. There's a chunk that's like 8 miles or 9 miles or something like that, and then there's a chunk that's only 3 miles. So that way you can get kind of a diverse group of folks all together. You can't hear me? Oh, that's you.
No, that's me. That's me. I'm the
You're the
three
three
mile
mile
guy.
guy. That's all right. Yeah, my wife for the longest time was the our 3 miler. She's like, I don't want to do anything more than that. Put me in for the 5K and then I'm done. Right? Yeah,
That's sweet.
and so she's funny story about that. We'll come back around to her in a little bit, but um, having events like that where it's kind of broken into smaller chunks makes it more achievable. So you could go and do go to one of those marathons all over the country. You could go and find a Spartan race. Those are kind of all over the country. There's also, if cycling's your thing, there's big bike races kind of throughout the country as well. So getting out there and getting to be a part of one of those events is kind of the coolest thing. But gravel bike racing, which is what Barry Roubaix is. It's a gravel bike race. So you're out there riding. You're on some roads. So there's some paved roads that you're on to connect to all the gravel roads. One of the very unique things about Barry is that there's a couple of roads that they put you on that are sand, and not packed sand,
Oh,
like beach sand. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
that
and,
sounds
and if you're
brutal.
one of the first riders that gets to that sand, it's sometimes rideable. So we actually traveled up there on Friday, pre-rode the course on Friday afternoon, evening ish.
The
No.
whole
Sorry,
thing?
that those sections, those sand sections, because we know they're notoriously gnarly, right? Really deep sand, and so wanted to get out there. They got a little bit of rain Friday morning, so we're like, okay, that's good. That'll help get it a little bit more tacky and less loose for that sand. And Friday was rideable, so we went out there. We for the most part rode all the sand, and we were good to go. By the time we got there on Saturday, yeah, it was chaos. And you have people riding at this stuff, and They just hit it just wrong and they go down and they crash and they take down all the
Oh
people around
no.
them, and it's like dominoes, and there's bodies everywhere, and people are getting off their bikes and running and going around them. Oh, there's Huck. So it's pure chaos going through all of the sand. But by the time, so they, on race day, they send out the 100 milers first, the 36 milers second this year. That was a change. And then the 62 milers. So, again, I'm in the 62 mile field. So by the time I got there, the 100 milers had gone through there. I don't know why I have chaos going on in my house either now, too. So by the time I got there, the 100 milers went through, the 36 milers went through, and now the 62 milers are starting to go through. And I'm not at the very front of that 62 mile group. I'm towards the front, but not at the very front. And so by the time I got to that, it was just chaos. Sheer chaos. The sand was all ripped up, and it was like trying to ride your bike on a beach. And we don't have those big balloon tires, right? We're on gravel bikes, which are bigger than a road tire, but they're like this. And it was wild. So
Yeah, I can only imagine, dude. I mean, I've tried jogging in sand. I've taken a car on sand. I can't imagine riding a bike on sand, man. That
well,
sounds
it turns into running on
rough.
sand because
How far into the race is that?
so there's two sections that are particularly gnarly. The first section happens around mile 12. The section happens around mile 18.
Okay, so at least you're knocking it out right towards the
Yeah, by
beginning,
the
just
time you're
getting it out of
done
the
with
way.
mile 22, because 18 to 22 is all that sand.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh yeah, buddy. It's so there's sections that are rideable kind of in between, but then you're back into the sand and then back out of it and then back into it for like 4 miles. But once you cross that 22 mile mark,
Wow.
it's the rest of the roads are like perfect. They're perfection. Nice, pretty well manicured gravel roads in the state of Michigan. Gravel means sand, right? So it's really fine, like sand like consistency, but it's well packed down and cars are driving over it all the time. And most of the roads are like that. It's just those two roads that are notorious. And it's just a sloppy fest.
Oh, I believe it, dude. It sounds intense. Yeah, the bike crash thing is always a fun thing to see as a bystander. When you see little videos of the big races and whatnot, and you see someone go down, and I'm like, oh, I can only imagine how mad everybody around that
Oh,
person
it
is. Oh my
hurts too.
goodness. Yeah,
Particularly,
dude.
so thankfully when you're in those sand sections, you're already going fairly slow and the sand is soft, and the way that you wind up falling, it's actually more hysterical than anything because most people just kind of topple over. Yeah, it's all slow motion. There's no one really hitting it that hard, because by that point you're already kind of spinning, trying to do your thing, and a lot of times it's just like a slow motion, just boom, and you know, it's more annoying than anything else, especially with
Is that because your feet are locked? Is that because your feet are locked in?
yeah,
Oh, dude, that would make the wreck so much worse.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, and it's a notorious thing, especially when people that are new to cycling, and you go out and get your first pair of cycling shoes with cleats. It's a notorious thing that people forget to unclip their foot. And so you'll be pedaling and you come up to an intersection and you go to stop, which you're used to doing, but then you go to lift your foot off the pedal to put it down on the ground, and that's not how cycling shoes work. So in order to get your feet out, they actually physically clip into the pedals, and then to get them out, you have to turn your heel, and that pops them free. It's a simple enough motion if you're used to it.
Right. Not thinking about it, and you
Yeah,
just
you
dunk.
all the time, and even people who've been riding for a while, they'll get caught up in something and they're not thinking, and they get up to the intersection and they forgot to clip out and they just fall over. And it always makes for a good laugh.
Sorry, that's fun.
Thankfully, most of the time when people fall in that way, there's no injuries involved. There's just bruised egos, and that's easy enough to deal with. But it's yeah, it's wild watching all that stuff going through the sand. But with those gravel events, the cool thing about them is the atmosphere that they have. So they do kind of a block party. You know, I think episode 1 we talked about. I went to Dirty Kansas out in Kansas in 2019. It's a very similar vibe where they like close down a big chunk of the city, and they have vendors come in and food trucks and they blast music, and the community kind of comes out, and it's a huge event for the town. And so Barry Roubaix actually hosted in Hastings, Michigan, and the city of Hastings, the population is almost the size of the registrations for the race. Yeah, they
Love
like
that.
double
Nice.
their population over the course of one weekend for this race every year.
That's cool. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff like that in rugby. You'll have like some small town up in upstate New York, and then one weekend of just crazy rugby, 50 teams, 16 guys on every team, and it's
Yeah,
just madhouse.
it's cool, especially when the community is involved and aware and a part of it. It makes for a cool time.
For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah,
That
nothing
sounds
like
like a lot of
getting
fun.
being out on the course and you're riding along and you see a sign, free beer.
Do you guys
Oh,
do people do that? They stop
oh,
mid race
they
and
don't
have a beer?
stop. As you're riding by, they're handing off glasses of beer to the riders as they go past. They just
And you
chug it
just
and keep
do
going.
you just lay it down and
Yep.
someone
Yeah.
cleans it up?
Yeah. Generally,
Nice,
those
nice.
places that do that, they're like, just throw it wherever. We'll pick it up afterwards. And so everyone's coming by, just grabbing it and throwing their glass off to the side, and they go back and clean it up after.
Oh, you're not getting sick while you're not getting sick
I'm
while you
not doing
ride
that.
doing that?
Let me be clear.
I feel like I would get sick.
I some people it some people that doesn't make them sick. I don't. Yeah.
I mean, like there's social rugby tournaments where we'll have a couple beers and go play rugby and stuff like that. But it's not quite like such an
Yeah.
endurance sport. You know what I mean? It's not quite the
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah. Well,
Oof.
and even the front of the pack on that 62 miler is out there for about 3 hours. I mean, it's just slightly less than 3 hours for the very front. And mind you, those are not the guys that are taking the beer. The very front of that group is not taking the. That's for
Right.
the party pace back at the back. With the people I was hanging out with.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Right.
the
Right.
cool people.
But yeah, it's cool. So if you guys ever get a chance to get out and do some sort of mass event, big kind of big large registration event, do it. Especially where you get the community out there and people supporting it. It's a cool thing. It's a very cool thing.
Yeah, I think Spartan's probably the next thing on my list. Especially with us moving to Montana and kind of being out in the middle of nowhere. Um, Probably make a point to do the Montana Spartan event that they
Yeah, I was
got
gonna say they have one in
coming up.
Kalispell. When
Yeah,
is that? Is that after you move?
I think so. I think Jen was talking to me about it, and she might be. I can't remember if she said she was going or not, but um, yeah. I mean, if that's where it's at, I get to drive through Glacier National Park to get down into Kalispell, so I'm
Absolutely.
down.
That is the drive. That's a freaking awesome drive.
Then I get to approach it from the east side, which is not really the side that a lot of people get to go in
Yeah,
from.
very
So
cool. Very cool. Yeah, hopefully you get to go out there then.
yeah, it'll be sweet. Can't wait.
So we were talking about the relays, and I brought up Caitlin not wanting to do anything longer than a 5K, and she's like, I only want to do a 5K. I only want to do 3 miles or less. So she, over this past weekend, so while I'm up in Hastings, Michigan doing my gravel race nonsense, right? She stays home. She's here. She was traveling all last week for work too, but she's at home. She registers to do a 10K, which is by far the longest that she's ever done in terms of an official race. I guess we did a 5 mile in December, still shorter than a 10K, but that's directionally getting closer. But yeah, so she registered and did a 10K, came in fourth in her category, in her age group. Yeah. So
What?
really impressive effort. And
Yeah, I saw her talking about her results on her Whoop
yeah,
strap that I got. I was like, "Oh, you wear a Whoop, rock and roll. That's cool. That's sweet. Good for her, man. That's pretty impressive. I've been trying to get more into running, but like my running has been like trail running. I just like, dude, I just enjoy it a lot more running through altering terrain, looking at the flowers, doing all that stuff, and just getting just a little bit out of the town,
oh,
out of the
for
city.
sure.
You know what I mean? Like just
Closer to nature, more connected with nature.
yeah, it's just that's my thing, dude. I don't know if I'll ever be super into, and I'm sure I'll do a half marathon and a marathon at some point just to check it off the list of accomplishments and say I've done it and all that kind of stuff. But I think the trail running will be more my thing, in terms of my overall
For sure.
running love.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, definitely more of a sprinter.
I feel that. That's kind of where I am for cycling too. You kind of have the same thing in cycling. I'm more of a sprinter than I am an endurance guy. So going out and do a 62 mile, 100 miles.
Yeah, I'll take that. I can take that
Yeah,
burst. Yeah, I can take that burst and do it over and over. But oof, that long
yeah,
distance stuff kills me.
for sure. So the that race that she registered for, right? So she goes and registers for this race and didn't really know anything about it. There's other people going that she knew, so she just registered and she's like, I'm going to go do this. Which, by the way, is always the best way to approach any event. Register and figure it out. Just all
Yep,
register and
yep,
then
I
you'll
agree.
figure it out. And I've done that a number of times.
Yep.
I did that for Spartan. I did that for when I did Dirty Kanza. I registered for Dirty Kanza, which was my first gravel bike race ever, and I didn't own a gravel bike. So I had to go and buy
Oh,
a gravel
nice.
bike to go and do this event that I've had. It was so far outside of anything I've ever done before. But you register first and figure it out, and that's what she did. So
Yep.
she registered. She knew some folks that were going to be doing it. Shows up to the event. Well, leading up to the event, people were saying, "Oh, there's a lot of elevation. There's a lot of elevation." She's like, "It's in Hudson, Ohio. It's fine. It can't be that bad. I'm not worried about it. It'll be fine." She she shows up, and it turns into a trail run. So she thought it was just going to be all paved, not paved. So it turns into a trail run up and around a lake in Hudson. So in that 6 miles, in that 10K, there was 800 feet of elevation.
Yep. I literally lived that last week or a couple days ago. I did about a 5 mile run where it had about the same elevation change. And I'll be honest, it wasn't a 5 mile run. There was some good amount of walking in there due to some of that elevation change. I was like, okay, yeah, I need a break. I need to take a breath here, please. So I feel it. That's
Yeah.
that's gnarly. That's
Yeah.
good for her, man. That's a totally different beast. So you signed up for the longest race you ever ran, and got to go
Yeah.
some gnarly
All
uphill.
rooted out, trail, like back in the woods. Yeah.
That's cool. That's a
For
cool
sure.
experience too,
And
though.
so this is part of her prep for ready for this. She's doing a half marathon in May. Just a
Nice,
few years
dude.
ago, I don't ever want to do anything longer than a 5K. She's registered for a half marathon.
Nice,
And
man.
again,
That's pretty
she
amazing.
registered
Good
and
for
she's
her,
going to
man.
figure it out. She's never ran that long. She's never done anything like that. She's like, I'm just going to do it.
That's what I've been thinking about my runs. I'm like, just don't check your, well, so like the Whoop is nice because it doesn't have a screen. You're not
Yeah.
looking at it and looking at it. I'm sure she can attest to that. But like it'll track you GPS if you tell it to do so. It'll tell you your run, your elevation change, all that stuff. And I've just been learning to start the run and just don't look at it until you're done. Just go run where you're running to, do your path, do your thing, and when you get done, take a peek at it, right? And this last one I did that was five, I think it was 5.2. I thought I ran 8. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get done with this. It's gonna be like 8 miles. It was like 5.2. I was like,
It always feels like more
oh,
than it is. It
oh,
always
goodness.
feels like more than it is.
Yep. Yeah. Now again, same thing. I was trail running. It was a lot of uphills and things like that. So very different than a regular flat 5 miles. But um, yeah, eye opener for sure when you're just like, oh, I could probably just muscle through a half marathon. Just like do what I can do and then just go slow for the rest of it. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. That's like 2.5 times further than I
Yep.
went. You know, that's a
Yeah.
long
Well,
way.
you just made the comment around um, not looking at your numbers until after you're done. There's definitely something to be said about that. I personally am a fan of reviewing data and being able to see my progress, my improvement, where I stand, how I'm developing. I like seeing that information. I think it's good to see. I think it's helpful from a training perspective and from a development perspective. What you have to be
Totally,
careful
totally.
of is what you just said, which is you can't over analyze the numbers, and paralysis by analysis is a real thing. And so there's lots of people that will that there's lots of research out there and lots of people that will say hide the information from yourself and you'll do better, right? Like
I believe that.
don't look at
I
what your
believe
heart
that.
rate is, don't look at your power numbers, don't look at your distance, don't look at your whatever. When you're done, you're done, right? Especially if it's a race. It's a set course. You're going to get to a finish line. When you cross the finish line, you're done, right? Don't worry about all the rest of those intricacies because you wind up getting bogged down in it. And again, there's definitely something to be said about performing to numbers and things like that. And by this point in the race, I should have a checkpoint and I should be able to check in that I've done this or whatever. And I get that, and there could be a place for that, but for most folks, that paralysis by analysis kicks in, and you start fixating on those numbers, and it takes you out.
Yeah, I think it's when you start to get to that elite level of competition where, like positioning in your finish actually matters, right? Like to you, right? Whereas most people that go run a marathon aren't running the marathon to win the
Yeah.
marathon. Plenty of people are, of course, but the majority of people are not there with the intention of I'm going to win this
No,
thing.
those are the people taking the beer
Um,
hand ups.
and I think that right,
Yeah.
exactly, right. That's us. And so I think that the people that are, those more elite athletes are definitely a little bit more numbers driven, because they truly know what to expect, right? Someone like Caitlin probably doesn't have like ooh, I'm going to get this time on my marathon. Like I have a pretty good idea. It's probably going to be, I'm going to shoot for this time, but a lot less of this is the time. I mean, she's not going to be able to say this is the time I usually get. She's never done it, right? Whereas someone who consistently runs marathons or plays this sport or rides constantly, those types of things, is going to be able to anticipate those numbers and check in on their progress and be like, okay, cool, I have more in the tank than this, I've done this before, and that sort of analyzation. But I think that for the majority, like you said, it's better off to just be like have the goal in mind and do your best to reach the goal. Don't get too caught up in what's happening leading up to it, because then all the different chemical reactions happen in the body, stress levels go up, energy levels go down, because you're spending energy on something that you really don't have a ton of control in anyway, right? Because it's all
Yeah.
just
Well, and
subjective.
better yet,
You'll enjoy. I think you'll enjoy said activity too a lot more if it's not based on the results in terms of time, but results in terms of completion or like ability to overcome a barrier. That sort of thing is a lot sweeter than hitting your PR record every
Yeah,
single
for
time.
sure. Well, and you know, a big part of that is you can only control what you can control, right? You can't control what the
Yeah,
weather's going to be like that day. You can't control what the course is going to be like potentially, right? The cor- who you're racing
who you're racing
against.
against,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
All that
So
stuff.
it's about just going out there and performing to the best of your ability. And if you left something out there, then you know for the next time how to go back and get back into the pain cave and do some work and get yourself ready for the next one. You know, that's the cool thing. You get to do it again.
Right, dude. I mean, that's yeah, that's where our all the growth really happens, man, is like finding out, like what was my weakness here? What could I do better? And it's not necessarily my time wasn't good enough, right? You'll have a lot more opportunity to analyze yourself in like while it's happening if you're not fretting about getting to a certain place at a certain time, right? Like you can focus on form, you can focus on breathing, you can focus on all these things as opposed to I need to speed up, I need to slow down, like just, you can get through all those other, like you said, the
Mm-hmm.
controllables, right? Like running with proper form, right? Like getting a proper breathing rhythm, all the different things, I can't speak for cycling, but just getting in that right headspace can be a big thing too. Are you guys allowed to listen to
Yeah,
music while
you
you're riding?
can. The biggest thing to be careful of is to make sure that you can still hear the things around you. Um,
Traffic, people on your team signaling
yep,
or people trying to
yep.
pass. Yeah. Dude, music is huge for me. Now, like it doesn't obviously in like a rugby game, same with cycling, like you're so in the moment, right? Like you're not thinking about anything else except for what's currently happening. Maybe something else, long distance stuff like you do, maybe your mind has a little more time to wander, to think about things. But I would assume in like a team sport like that, with all these people around you, you're just thinking about your surroundings and your
Yeah,
and your environment. In rugby, it's the same thing, so it's like you don't really have time to worry about
yeah. No,
all the other stuff.
there's a lot of questioning life choices at some points, and
Yeah.
but
Yeah, see, I definitely believe that. But outside of rugby, like any type of long distance thing, trail running, gym, even things like that, like, dude, music is my savior in that, right? Like, it gets you on a whole nother wavelength in terms of like the vibe of, especially if you got the right music. Oh my goodness, changes
yeah. So
everything.
there's for those that are cycling or running or doing activities that are out there that you want to listen to some music, like you were just saying, and particularly when you're in populated areas where you should be able to hear your surroundings, they actually make bone conduction headphones. Have you ever seen those?
I've not. I've definitely have like headphones that like have features that allow you to like hear what's going on outside while you're listening. Like they have just like that echo feature where like someone could talk to you and you can hear it through the music. Sort of what people are
Yeah,
saying,
so the
but
bone
I've never
conduction
seen one of
headphones
those.
come around, and I'm wearing a headset, but I'll do this. So they wrap around your ear like this, and they sit up here on your temples,
Yep.
and they actually they have a little plate in them that vibrates against your temple, and that actually so it uses bone conduction to transmit the music basically to your brain without having to go through your ear hole. Yeah.
Whoa. Whoa. Is it like good quality sound?
It is not. It, yes and no. It sounds pretty good, but if
But it's not the same as an
no,
in-ear
yeah,
crazy
yeah.
headphone
Like if you're
noise.
an
Yeah, yeah.
audiophile, don't go on there expecting something something amazing.
Right.
Yeah, but
Unrealistic. Yeah, yeah,
really
yeah.
it's designed for what we were just talking about. I'm going out for a run. I'm going out for a hike. I'm going out for on a bike. But I need to be able to hear everything going on around me. It's not about hey, I'm going to be listening super intently to the quality of the right. It's some noise for me and something to go along with. Like you said, it's to help. It's the driver to help you keep going. It sounds good, but it's not
Yeah.
like blow you away sound quality.
Yeah, yeah. I just wasn't sure. Just sounds pretty
It's
dang
cool.
sweet.
It's cool tech, man, and it's awesome to be able to just have them on, not have to worry about it, and you're able to just go. And they there's a play pause button on it or whatever. So I do find if someone's trying to have a conversation with me that I, being able to pick out the exact words that they're saying, like it's hard to hold a dialogue sometimes. So if someone's trying to have a conversation with me, I can just reach up and pause real quick and, kind of engage in that conversation and then hit play again, because their words get jumbled up with the words of the music. And it's just, what did you just say to me?
Yep.
But yeah, it's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, it sounds sweet.
But yeah,
dude. Speaking of cool inventions, that helium backpack thing that I sent you,
right?
Well, that's cool.
Caitlin,
I
sent that to Caitlin. Caitlin
sweet.
goes, "It's cool and all until you have to go through the woods, or it gets really windy."
It's a good point. If you're going through if you're going through a place that's like, I guess there's a lot of things that are not great about it. I guess. Didn't think about any of that. All I thought of was.
I actually agree with that. She was thinking way too practically. Just embrace the craziness. We'll be good.
It'll be fine. Yeah, dude, that's a wild thought process there.
Yeah. So the video that we're talking about, there's a guy that straps a helium balloon. It's a big giant balloon too, that is perfectly measured out to carry the weight of what is in his backpack. So once he strapped it to his backpack and just let it go, it kind of floated in one spot. It was just kind of the perfect weight ratio.
So it feels like you're not carrying anything on your back. It's just like the straps are holding on to your body. He said that he almost put too much in it to where he had to like cinch it down. It was like taking some of his body weight away. I was like, that's crazy.
Well, and it's cool until you get an updraft. And then just running in it.
Shoot. And then you just take off. You can't even get out.
I don't know, it still might be worth a shot.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna get one.
It's a big balloon though, man. That was a big balloon.
Yeah, that's sweet though. That'd be okay for something like Big Bear.
Yeah, there's
like somewhere where there's not a ton of tree cover.
Which is a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, well, I think the new course this year is going to have quite a bit of tree cover.
Okay. Yeah, that reminds me. We should give a little shout out there. So, Highlander, we can hook folks up with a discount, right?
Yeah, man, we got the Escape Comfort Outdoors Highlander discount code ESCAPE20. Available to get you discounts, 20% off on all US and UK events. So if you guys want to do any of the lakes trails over in the UK, if you want to do Big Bear, technically Costa Rica because it's the Americas as well. So Costa Rica, Big Bear, any upcoming events that they may add, and all that kind of stuff, you can get that 20% off, which for the discount of 20% off on something like this, that's a good chunk of money. So definitely worth looking into, and coming out and meeting your boy this year at Big Bear.
Yeah, so you'll be at Big Bear. Jen will be at Big Bear. I
believe so. To my knowledge, I think her Spartan Pass gets her. She'll be at as much as possible. That girl, her and John blow my mind. Those guys do so much, and it's just super cool. I think they live a pretty amazing life. Got good families and great kids and all that stuff, and they just out there.
Yeah, so if people want to join you and Jen, and probably John, sounds like, you guys will be in Big Bear. And then if anyone wants to join kind of the whole crew, so to speak, or not necessarily the whole crew, but a bunch of us, we'll be on Costa Rica, hopefully. We're all planning on trying to make that work for us in August.
Yeah, in August.
So Caitlin and I are planning to be there. John, I know that you're working on that. And then Jen, I believe, is also going to be there too. So we should have a...
Yeah, I think Jen's already.
She booked everything. She's got her flight. She's got her hotel.
Yeah, I think we're we're gonna have a slew of. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna have to really own in on my Spanish a little bit better to thrive down there. I mean, who knows what to expect, man? We're going to be just south of one of the major cities, hiking through the jungle, man. We're going to be in the Costa Rican jungle. I'm talking sloths, monkeys. I mean, it's going to be the true. I mean, it's
I'm
wild.
I'm
It's the
prepping to
wild,
fight some
man,
monkeys.
and I can't. Dude, I'm prepping to make sure they're,
Yeah,
jaguar. That's what I'm looking out for is jaguars. I have no idea how many jaguars can be found in Costa Rica or anything like that, but I heard they were there, and that's scarier than most animals on this
it's
planet. And
true.
so that's going to be a wicked fun trip. Obviously, Highlander takes all the precautions in the world to make sure everybody's safe. Everybody's very aware of what they're doing, and we have staff on the trail that make sure everybody's good to go. Search and rescue. They got medics, they got experts, they got, I mean, you name it, they take care of all of it. So definitely worth coming out to Costa Rica in August to meet all of us, to meet all the Highlander crew. I mean, obviously, you're the same boat as me. Cannot say enough cool things about the Highlander crew. That is such a unique and cool group of individuals. Love those guys and gals. They treat us like family, and really really excited to get back out to
Yeah,
another
for
couple
sure.
events this
And
year.
the that crew, like you said, they put on a great event and have been very supportive. Last year, again, the crew. So John, Jen, Caitlin, myself, we were all in Kalispell, Montana, headed out there, and so that was my
Yeah,
first time, and I think most of our first time being in what I call real bear country, dealing with some grizzlies. Real
real
bear
bear
country.
country, bro. Real bear country. Like people coming to talk to us about it, tell us the right way to do it, talking to us all the details about how a pepper spray is better friend to you in a bear encounter than a gun is, right? Because pepper spray is going to deter that thing, make it go away, unless you got that perfect shot. Like you're just going to make it mad, man. So it was really cool to like hear an expert really break it down. Me being from Montana, I'm thinking, yeah, carry a pistol. Carry pepper spray too, but carry the pistol. It's going to be your best line of defense. Nope, boy, was I wrong. Boy, would I get eaten if I was in the woods and I grew up there my entire
Yeah, well,
life.
and one of the coolest things, like you were saying about keeping folks safe, he just alluded to that. They had a bear expert actually come who that
Yeah, and he was
right.
probably the coolest. Grant, I think his name is, right?
I'm horrible with
Grant, was
names.
that his
Maybe.
name?
Yep.
I don't know, but he was one of the more interesting dudes I had ever talked to in my life. He was a cool cat. He definitely had a lot of
Yeah.
really
Well,
cool
and
information.
he's like he's a bear researcher. That's what he does. So
Like his main job
yeah,
that he
and so
does full
he's
time.
going and looking for the bears. So if you want someone who knows how to deal with bear encounters, that's your guy.
Highlander does a good job of bringing in people that are very knowledgeable about the
Yeah.
specific thing they're trying to cover. Whether it's a motivational chat with some of the guys from former Navy SEALs, whether it's like Mike,
Hmm.
that we spoke to in Big Bear, Jess with the ankle foot doctor. I mean, they just bring people in that just have a lot of knowledge about some pretty important things that have to do with what we're doing. And that's a cool little extra feature that you get there. That you could pick a lot of really
Yeah,
smart people's
that's where we met
brains.
Benny Braden too.
Benny, baby, yep, that's where we met Benny. He was yeah, he's just getting the word out, and now Highlanders just are known, as a responsible stewardship event. Man, like it's pretty amazing how they brought that partnership together, and hopefully that starts to spread into the other 29 countries that
Yeah,
Highlander goes
it's a
to.
very cool organization. Lots of bucket list events on their calendar. So
For sure, man. We're gonna try to do Croatia
absolutely,
sometime
I'll
soon.
be in. We looked at that UK event as well. That one's pretty cool. Um,
Yeah, Dave, pick David's brain about that. David, he went and did
mm,
that one last year. Um, David who did
yeah,
the 100
yeah,
miler.
yeah,
Um, yeah, he went and did that one over there. He said it was
yeah.
pretty awesome.
That's cool. It's a cool looking event. So for us, it's all about figuring out schedules and where things fit. And
Yeah. Yep, for sure. I'm gonna try to hit as
Yeah,
many as I
love it.
can.
Awesome. John, remind us, how do the people get 20% off?
Yeah, discount code escape 20. Um, capitalized, not capitalized. I don't think it matters. If one doesn't work though, try the other. But I'm pretty sure both of them work. I don't think it's cap sensitive. So get you 20% off any Highlander event in the Americas or the UK. Take advantage of it. We're going to be at them. If you want to meet us or want to just get around a amazing group of like-minded individuals doing some amazing things, definitely check out one of their events. I can't say enough good things. It's where we met. It's where we met Jen, John. I mean, so many unbelievably great people. Alyosha, Yvonne. I mean, you name it. Tomas. I mean, the Z-Packs guys. I mean, it list goes
Yeah,
on and on and on
it's
and
a
on,
great
man.
community.
It's a must. It's
Yeah, it's a
definitely a
great
must do.
community. We've talked about that a bunch, right? Getting out and being a part of the community and
It's the driving factor to get everybody to come back. I mean, it's awesome to hike 60 miles, 80 miles. It's awesome to camp under the stars. I mean, love all of those things. But I mean, there's nothing quite like the group of people that you see at the end every day who are cheering you on through the finish, having a drink with you, playing with my dog. Huck came on that last one with me and did 60 miles, and she was a life of the party. People were showing her love, and it was it
shoot.
was an awesome experience to get to share with my
Yeah.
sister, my dog, and all that. It was, and it's the thing that keeps bringing us back
Yeah,
is
Huck's a
the
trooper
people.
too. That was a yeah.
She's a beast, dude. She's a
Well, yeah, you
beast.
guys didn't just do 65. You wound up going back out a couple times and doing whatever. So you guys were well, and she doubled it because she would run ahead, come back, run ahead, come back, run ahead, come back.
Yeah, Huck probably put in about 100 miles. I think I ended up doing about
Yeah.
77. Um, I mean, it never goes the way you planned, but I'm also, like I was lucky enough to be, part of the staff. And it was my job to bring up the rear, dude. People needed backpacks carried, people needed help out, all that kind of stuff. And so I want to make sure everybody was taken care of. And what's a couple extra miles when you're doing
Nah,
60
it's all
anyway,
good.
right? Come on.
Especially out there, it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Oh, dude, you can never
Yeah,
get
not at
enough of the
all.
mountains, man.
Awesome. I think we're coming up around time here, so we'll go ahead and wrap things up for episode number 3. We'll go ahead and get this pushed out there and get it live. Just a reminder, our summer challenge is coming around here real soon. We're wrapping up details. We do have some preliminary information up on the website, and registration will be going live soon. We're finalizing our plans around swag. We're going to make sure that there's some really cool swag items, and we're trying to think of some unique things. Right? There's a lot of you do events and you kind of get the same sort of things. I think we're gonna be coming up with some unique, cool stuff to have as part of our swag package.
One of a kind merch,
Absolutely,
y'all.
and we're gonna also make sure that a percentage of all of the proceeds from registrations will actually go back to responsible stewardship, who we've been talking about throughout the course of this episode. We want to make sure that we're giving back to them every way we can, so that way they can continue to help clean up our parks and our outdoor spaces. So love everything that they do. So we want to make sure that we give a little bit back to them. So a percentage of all of those registration fees will actually go back to them. So it'll be a cool thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad we were able to
Absolutely.
do that.
All right, John, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up here. Look forward to catching up with everyone. We're current at this point. We're kind of running at a episode every 2 weeks. I think that's our going to be our cadence here, at least for a little bit, as we continue to get our groove and keep things rolling. So we look forward to coming back around to you in about 2 weeks. So
Yeah, and let us know if you think of a cool song you think we should put on our podcast or anything like that. We want to make this thing
there you go.
fiery and
Love it.
sweet.
Yeah. Sweet intro, outro. So yeah, love it. Awesome.
Let's do
See
it.
everyone in 2 weeks. Take care.
Bye, y'all.